The votes are in. They've been counted and verified. There's no ballot stuffing. There's no foul play. The only red wave this season is going to be a German Shepherd commander who knocks over the cranberry sauce on our table.
In just a matter of weeks, the Republican red wave went from a campaign trail promise to a presidential joke. Now the Republican National Committee is launching a review of its disappointing midterm performance. So let's break it down with my friend Michael Steele, former chairman of the Republican National Committee and former lieutenant governor of Maryland. All right, Michael, you know how these autopsies work. What happens now?
I never did an autopsy when I was RNC chairman. Didn't have to, because my finger was always on the pulse, and that's the problem with the party. Yeah, really. Look, the problem is when your finger isn't on the pulse of the country, you wind up sounding and acting and putting forward candidates like the ones we've seen in this last cycle. Look, the wildest thing I had to worry about was a candidate who had to declare she wasn't a witch. That's the least of the problems of today's Republican Party. And so, yeah, the idea of doing an autopsy, I guess it's okay, but you ignored the last one. So $1 million spent for what? Okay, tell you what, hire me back and I'll come and solve your problems for you. Okay,
then to that very point, they did an autopsy in 2012 when Mitt Romney lost to Obama. They got the results, and what they do? Ignored them. Do you expect anything different this time? Right? We had these midterms and we're like, oh, people voted against crazy. And what have we gotten in the last 2 weeks? Crazy on top of double crazy.
Look, if you cannot publicly acknowledge that the worst candidate that you have in this cycle is still in a campaign for the United States Senate and the state of Georgia because you let some whacked out former president insurrectionist type back you into supporting him, and you can't back away from that, what are you doing with the review? What are you reviewing? Just examine what you did in the state of Georgia. You don't need to have all these people come down and spend all this money and have all these meetings. Look at Georgia, because that'll tell you where you are with the country and how the country is responding to your candidates. This is not complicated stuff, Ronna. Okay. It isn't.
Well, then let's talk about the actual humans who are doing the review. On the review panel, Blake Masters, one of them, okay? Losing Arizona Senate candidate. This guy and his specific flavor of politics are one of the key reasons the GOP fared so poorly. So what in the world are they going to get out of this with a guy like that sitting on the committee?
They ain't going to learn jack from Blake. Come on. Blake is on there because you got to keep feeding that Trump base to keep the dollars flowing in the building. You just can't cut and run on this. You can't have cold turkey after Thanksgiving, right? You just can't do it. So the reality of it is, Ronna, unfortunately, is still boxed into this reality that a significant portion of the 168 members that make up the RNC are still stoked by Donald Trump, denialism, lies, QAnon, all of that. You don't move off of that. You can't move off of that. They won't allow themselves to move off of that. Well, look, you just watched and played in this hour, and we've seen in the last hour, Mitch McConnell still twisting himself in knots over anti-Semitism. We can't even come out and say there is absolutely no place in this party for individuals like Donald Trump and Fuentes and others who have those claims. We can't say, when you can't say that, having a review is a waste of time.
Let's bring into this conversation David Plouffe, former Obama campaign manager and senior advisor to the president. David, let's talk about Democrats. Yes, they had a very strong victory in these midterms, but should they be doing their own autopsy? They lost the House, and many people think they didn't need to.
Oh, of course, Stephanie. Listen, my view on politics is sort of like sports. Michael Jordan would go into the locker room after a game if they won by 6 and ask why they didn't win by 10, right? So there's always room for improvement. And obviously, the Republicans had bad candidates in a bunch of states. They turned off a lot of moderate and suburban voters. Now, if the Republicans don't fix that, remember, they blew this election where they should have had very favorable dynamics. We don't know what November 24 is going to hold, but let's say it's neutral. Let's say it's slightly positive environment for Democrats. They're in big trouble if they don't heal that wound. That being said, yes, the Democrats have a lot of work to do to make sure you're sealing with suburban voters, make sure you're growing your support with Hispanic voters where that eroded a little bit, figuring out how to drive turnout. A lot of our candidates showed the ability to do better than we've done recently in some rural and exurban areas. How do you grow on that? Of course. It's just as important to examine your performance when you've done well as it is when you've done poorly.
Okay, but even though in theory it makes sense to examine your performance, David, does it make sense for the Republican Party to do so, given that Donald Trump is still completely tangled in that party and he doesn't have anybody's best interest at mind except his own political agenda? He'll blow the joint up, as he's shown us, not just over the last 6 years, but over the last 70+ years of his life.
Well, that's the issue. I mean, I think there are a lot of people like Michael and others who would like to see the Republican Party, still be a conservative party in a whole bunch of issues, but basically not alienate big chunks of the electorate. Right now, they're imprisoned, basically, not just by Trump, by Fox and Breitbart and Sinclair, and their entire entertainment complex keeps them prisoner because they live in a fantasy world where, things like MS-13 camping in people's backyards is being treated seriously. So that's the issue. Is I think there's probably the power centers in that party, quite frankly, not Kevin McCarthy or Mitch McConnell. They're the Tucker Carlsons and the Laura Ingrams and the Steve Bannons. And if they basically say, forget all that, don't worry about the middle, we've got to go hard right, they're going to have a hard time pivoting. And of course, the big way this is going to play out is in their presidential primary. Can somebody who's not a Trump-like figure have the ability to win their nomination? I highly doubt it, but that'll be the first test.
Okay, well, you bring up Breitbart and Sinclair. Michael, what did we see Republicans do before the midterms? They tried to fire up that red wave by day in and day out harping on crime, crime, crime. I want you to look at this chart from the Washington Post. What you're looking at right there is showing how often crime was mentioned on Fox News before and after the midterms. You see it, boom, drop like a stone. The truth matters, but only if you hear it. Crime rates did not change overnight, but their coverage certainly did. Do Republicans need to rethink this kind of scare strategy?
No, they're not going to they should, but they're not, because it works for their base. I mean, look, that all that crime went the same place the red wave did. It's just so out to sea.
Michael, if I may, the base isn't big enough to win an election. It's math.
I guess, you know what? It's like your kids. Sometimes they just got to learn it the hard way. You know what? You tell them, look, I really don't think you should climb the tree. I really don't think you should climb the tree. No, seriously, don't. Okay, you just broke your arm. I mean, at some point, they're going to have to learn through politics how they have to refocus the national narrative of the party. I mean, Rana's talking about a review. Where's the platform? You don't even have a platform. So what are you reviewing? How do you contextualize public policy around no platform? How do you contextualize talking to voters when you have nothing to tell them other than, oh, guess what, white suburban women, crime's up? That's just not a recipe for winning the hearts and minds of the American people. At the end of the day, they stop being afraid when they realize it's all a con. And that's the truth.
Damn, that autopsy may have been a con, Michael. They could just tune into you. Michael Steele, David Plouffe, thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate it.